On Wednesday, the nation's highest court will consider whether children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents are citizens.
The Trump administration is challenging birthright citizenship as part of its crackdown on illegal immigration. Our political anchor Curtis Jackson previews what's at stake.
Paul Finkelman is recognized as an expert in the history of the 14th Amendment and constitutional history in general. He's a visiting professor of law at the University of Toledo College of Law. Professor, good to see you again.
See you.
I want to start with what the government's case is in a nutshell. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was adopted to grant citizenship to freed slaves and their children, not to children of temporarily present aliens or illegal aliens. Those are their words, not mine. Your thoughts on that argument?
Well, like much of his statements, President Trump has very little knowledge of history and really doesn't know what he's talking about. That would be the bottom line. When the 14th Amendment is debated, there are questions about whether the children of Chinese immigrants will be citizens, since American naturalization law did not allow Chinese immigrants to become citizens. There were also a number of laws limiting Chinese coming into the country, starting with the Anti-Coolie Act of 1862. There were other laws on the books that prohibited other kinds of people from coming here. For example, thousands of Africans had been illegally brought here as slaves. They were illegally in the United States, but their children would be citizens under the 14th Amendment, even though their parents were not legally here.
I want to ask you one thing about the case that the government is making here with respect to persons, whatever race or color, who are domiciled in the United States. This whole term of being domiciled, that word in general and what it means, what kind of role do you think that will play in the arguments we hear come Wednesday?
Well, I hope it will play no role at all, because traditionally the rule has been simple, even before the 14th Amendment was passed, that if you're born here, you owe allegiance to the United States and you are a citizen of the United States unless you are the child of a diplomat. They are not long-term residents. In fact, President Roosevelt says they can't become citizens. But if they have children while they're here, their children are citizens because they were born here. In the 1820s, there's a case in which somebody from England is visiting here, not planning to be a citizen. His wife has a baby. When the baby is about 6 months old, they move back to England. The baby grows up, spends the rest of her life in England. When her uncle dies in New York, he gives her all of the land he owns in New York in his will. Other people intervene, saying she can't inherit because she's not a citizen and only citizens can inherit land. The New York court rules, she was born here, she's a citizen. It's that simple. It's always been that way. And this is the first, except for, of course, Chief Justice Taney saying that Black people couldn't be citizens. And so we needed an amendment to clarify it for everybody. But during the debates, it's quite clear. It counts for everybody. It doesn't count for just former slaves. It counts for everybody in the United States. Born here, you're a citizen.
Paul Finkelman, University of Toledo College of Law. Thanks again, Professor.
Thank you.